All right, we're live and on air, and it is 6 p.m. So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cueva?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Vice Chair Southard?
Here.
Chairman Cooley?
Here. Are there any requests for excused absences tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll commence with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll ask Commissioner Smith if he'll lead us.
Thank you. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And then adjustments for the agenda. We have a request from the Deputy City Clerk to move item C to before the public comments.
Yes, sir. For logistic purposes, I think it would work best if we move C1 just before public comments to do the swearing in.
And anybody have any objections to that? Okay, we'll go ahead and do it. And is there any conflict of interest disclosures that need to be made tonight? All right, thank you. That moves us down to the next item, which is C1, and we're going to introduce and swear in a new planning commissioner. And Deputy City Clerk Wheelwright will administer that oath to Alan Coblin.
All right, and I'd like to invite you up to the podium. We'll go ahead and do the oath.
Oh, good. Thank you.
You can raise your right hand. Okay, I, and then state your name,
Alan Coblin,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully
and I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Cold
You
hand,
can
sorry.
have a seat up there.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, welcome to the commission. You'll have a seat up here, and we'll give you a few minutes to give a short little introduction. The microphone has a speak.
Well, thank you very much. As you know, my name is Alan Coblin. I previously served on the Economic Development Committee for the city. I'm been a resident of Beaumont for almost 7 years, and I have volunteered a lot in various other cities. I'm also involved with the San Gorgonio Memorial Hospital and the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, and I'm honestly excited about this opportunity.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and it is the public comment period for items not on the agenda. This meeting will be open to the public and conducted in a virtual format to be inclusive of all participation preferences. Public comment participation is encouraged by emailing any comments to the city clerk's office or by calling and using the phone number provided on the front of the agenda. Do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda?
I have no written requests. Mia, do we have any callers on the line?
No callers.
All right, that takes care of that one. Then we move on to the action items and the public hearing requests. we'll start with the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, and I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes dated December 11th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Copeland? Commissioner Cueva?
Yay.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the reorganization of the Planning Commission. I have a staff report.
Good evening, Commission. This item is here for you to give you the opportunity to reorganize. This is done annually. The process, there is not a process in place specifically for Planning Commission, but in years past, they've followed the process the City Council uses, so I have provided that here for you. City Council uses a rotation process, and as an attachment, I provided the sequence as to what the previous chair has been. So I gave the order there for you to use if you choose to. The only request I have for the motion is that it's done separately. So there will need to be a nomination for chair, roll call, and then we make sure that it passes. Then we'll move on to nomination for vice chair, roll call, and so forth.
All right, thank you. Commission discussion. I'll start by saying that this appears, or not just appears, has worked well in the past. And just to follow that rotation, that's where I came in, and it's been just fine. Gives everybody an opportunity to serve well, and there is an option there that allows someone who cannot or does not want to do the chair responsibilities to pass on it. That's what I'm thinking. I'll open up. Let's hear what the rest of you have.
It's worked well I think it's worked well for the commission, so I have no objection.
Likewise, I have no objection.
Commissioner Southern, are you interested in in being the chair for the year?
If it sounds like that's the direction we're going, I'd be happy to serve as chair.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I'd be happy to nominate Commissioner Philip Southern for chair for the Planning Commission.
And I'll second that. So, we'll ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Copeland?
Aye.
Commissioner Cueva?
Yay.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. And then ask for a motion to nominate the vice chair, and in that rotation system, that will be who? Mr. Wheelwright, who would be the vice chair under the rotation system?
It would be Commissioner Smith.
Okay, and so I'll nominate Commissioner Smith for the vice chair.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Copeland?
Aye.
Commissioner Cueva?
Yay.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Southard?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooley?
Yes. Okay, so we've appointed a chair and a vice chair to the commission, and what has typically been done in the past, I think what follows is, it is now yours, Commissioner Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Cooley, for your service as chair. We'll move on now to item C4. That'll be conditional use permit CUP 2024-0008 for Red Dragon Karate located at 680 Beaumont Avenue, APN 418-074-001. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Jillian Fountain, Planning Staff. An application for a CUP for a karate studio was submitted to the city on November 27th, 2024. A public notice was placed in the Press Enterprise, and property owners within 300 feet were notified of this public hearing. Staff has received one comment from the public regarding the proposal, and this comment has been provided in your staff report. The municipal code allows for commercial karate subject to the approval of a conditional use permit. The property is zoned downtown mixed use and has general plan land use designation of downtown mixed use. The surrounding properties have a similar zoning and land use designation apart from the single-family residential to the east. The site is currently developed with an existing vacant suite. The proposed hours of operations are 6 days a week between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m., Monday through Friday, and 9:30 to 11 a.m. on Saturdays. The classes are expected to be between 30 to 45 minutes, which allows for about 5 classes per night. The applicant has expressed that the majority of the students are dropped off for classes, with only 2 to 3 cars staying during each class. On September 5th, 2023, the City Council approved an amendment to the current parking requirements in the downtown district that will temporarily suspend off-street parking requirements for existing non-residential structures. The project is exempt from CEQA as it qualifies for a Class 1 existing facilities categorical exemption. The required CUP findings can be adequately met and are included in your staff report. At this time, staff recommends the Planning Commission hold a public hearing, approve CUP 2024-0008, subject to the proposed conditions of approval, and direct staff to prepare an NOE for the applicant to submit to the county clerk recorder. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and I believe that the applicant is on Zoom today, if he was able to get out of his class that he was teaching.
Perfect. Thank you for that staff report. Do we have any discussion or questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none, I will open the public hearing here at 6:12 p.m. Are there any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. I'd like to call, 6:12. And I'll call it Chad Smicker.
Oh, there you go. Chad Schnitker, resident Beaumont. I had a temporary use permit at the same location previously. So we had a small campaign office there for about 2.5 months. The only thing I'd say is one of the conditions of me taking that office, because the owner at the time was not interested in a short-term lease, was that while I was there, I was required to show the property for prospective future tenants. And I didn't know this because I was busy doing campaign stuff. My son, he's 5, he was in a karate class with somebody here at the little local city thing. And it was months of my son being in that karate class until all of a sudden his karate teacher came in. And that very night I realized that Karate Robbie was my son's instructor, and he was also looking to lease the place. And besides Karate Robbie, the only people who came in to look at that property, the 3 months I occupied it, were literally pot shops or cigar shops, and there was a magician who wanted it, but he was not interested. And I wish I'd had a pun for that. But that being said, I like Karate Robbie, good guy, small classes, mostly kid stuff. Maybe he's gonna do some adult stuff, but as a resident, as somebody who personally witnessed the history of that office for the last 3-4 months, I would recommend the Planning Commission go with it. So not that you guys weren't, but just that's my 2 cents.
Perfect. Thank you for your comment. Any other requests?
Mia, do we have any callers on the line?
No callers.
And I don't show the applicants on Zoom.
Okay. Then
He was currently going to try to get out of his current class at the Chatney Center that he was teaching to be on this, so he may have gotten hold up.
Perfect. Well, if there's no other speakers, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:14 p.m. And I'll ask for a motion.
Is there a new commissioner on lead, or I'll jump in here? So
Commissioner
I will move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can I ask for a roll call, please?
Commissioner Cooley?
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland?
Yes?
Commissioner Cueva?
Yay.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Southard?
Yes. Okay, that item passes. We'll move on to item C5. That is Plan 2024-0158, Code Amendment to Chapter 17.02.030, and 17.02.070 plot plans. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Chairman Southard, and congratulations, and good evening to the rest of the commission. Carol Kendrick, planning staff, presenting this item. A little bit of background on this. On November 19th of 2024, staff provided a report to the City Council on what efforts we're making towards providing a more streamlined process, easing, it's just making the process move a lot smoother for people submitting permits or submitting for planning applications. We talked about several different things that we're doing, including DRC being open to the applicants, which has been occurring since October, and it's been pretty successful. We are working on having our planning projects, having transparency on the website, similar to how you can view building permits. We're working through that. But one of the things that we brought up, and this was a suggestion by our consultant that is preparing our zoning code update, is that we had administrative plot plans and minor plot plans that were both administrative in nature. And their recommendation was to remove one of those. So the administrative plot plan process typically works. We'll do residential administrative plot plans where we look at additions, we look at ADUs, we look at detached garages and structures. And then for commercial, it's typically for occupancy. So these reviews can be done through the certificate of occupancy and plan check. One of the downsides is you're not able to identify issues until they're in plan check, but it will help streamline the process in general. So we are proposing an amendment to the ordinance to remove any language referring to the administrative plot plan process. So it's in the table and as well in the language, and we are proposing to add language that is in the draft zoning code update, which is attachment D to the staff report. We do have the draft zoning code update. That is, we're going to be having a work study in front of the Planning Commission on February 13th, and we'll be looking at doing one in March with the City Council with the anticipation that we'll have administrative draft to you in the next 6 to 10 weeks. So another thing that would be beneficial by removing this, that is the applicants would not be paying the administrative plot plan fees, which went up with our recent fee update. We would be able to charge our miscellaneous fee, which is based on staff time. So going down from approximately $1,500, and our average review time is about 30 minutes. So that gets you down into the $75 range. So we think that that will be a benefit to our customers that are applying for any type of administrative plot plan. Minor plot plans will remain administrative. So typically our minor plot plans include model home complexes, plotting and architecture for tract homes, including typical front yard landscaping, wall and fence plans, and slopes. These will be done administratively as they have been done in the past, with the exception if council requires review. We do have one project that does require a minor plot plan to go before the City Council. This project is exempt from CEQA under section 15061B3. And it is consistent with general plan policy LUCD, which is land use and community development number 5, which is to work to find efficiencies and make development permitting as simple and as transparent as possible. And this does help meet our strategic plan target 3 goal with economic development for economic development by streamlining the development process. We did prepare a notice in the paper that was advertised on December 28th of this meeting Staff had not received any comments on this item. We do have our proof of publication included in your staff report. And the Beaumont Municipal Code under section 17.02.080E does authorize the Planning Commission to make a recommendation to the City Council for approval with modifications, or denial of a proposed application. And your recommendation shall be transmitted to the city clerk for scheduling this matter for consideration by the City Council. So at this time, staff would recommend that you hold a public hearing and forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council and amend Chapter 17.02.030 and Table 17.02-1 and Section 17.02.070 plot plans of the Beaumont Municipal Code. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Perfect. Thank you for that report. Do we have any discussion or questions from the commission? Commissioner Cooley.
Yeah, I have one question. So I wasn't totally clear. What's the financial impact to the city for this? Is there anything significant?
Well, there will be a reduction. We won't have the administrative plot plan revenue coming in, but again, we'll be doing cost recovery by charging our time to the either certificate of occupancy or the building plan check. So currently, the administrative plot plan fee is a flat fee that is required to be paid. So, for instance, say someone wanted to do a 200 square foot room addition, they're going to have to pay $1,500 for their administrative plot plan review. Once they get through that process, they submit to building and they'll pay their building permit fees, and planning will review it again to make sure it's consistent with what we approved. So this is actually going to save our constituents and their developers money. And it will be an actual cost recovery instead of a flat fee that could not cut, it likely is not going to cover that. In an administrative plot plan, those fees are so high because those projects are transmitted through our development review committee, and they're reviewed by all the departments, which is almost all of the departments with the city of Beaumont. So that's why that cost is so inflated. Going through building plan check, we can charge the actual cost, and so it will be a benefit to our community. But there will be some reduction in planning fees, planning revenue.
Has there been any calculation or any estimate of what that might be?
Not at this time. I mean, we could look at the average of how many administrative plot plans we did last year and provide that, but I would have to come back to you with that information.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question on that one. Correct me if I'm wrong, in the last meeting, we did talk about we're providing our constituents more information so that when they put forth an application, for the most part, we are not having to go back and ask for more information. We're trying to get them to bring all the information initially. So with that thought process, even though we have that reduction of $1,500, we would have a more complete package where we'd be spending less time on that, correct? In theory.
In theory. So what we find is not all comments are addressed on the first round or second round, or maybe there's, not understanding what those corrections are. So again, with it being a flat fee of $1,500, I think the cost recovery in charging what it actually takes to do the review on a particular permit or certificate of occupancy would be more appropriate, and right size those fees. If it takes multiple plan checks, then they will be charged for that. So it's like I said, again, it's paying for the actual time served instead of a flat fee that's based on, the general time to do that and including all the different departments.
And so chances are we wouldn't necessarily lose the value of the $1,500. We would lose the incremental difference of a incomplete or multiple plan checked submittal, because we do charge an hourly rate for that presently. Am I understanding that correctly?
On plan check?
Yeah, when you get to plan check, because when you said plan check, are you referring to building plan check or
Building plan check, I apologize.
Right. So then on building plan check, we charge an hourly rate anyway.
So planning does not currently charge an hourly rate. So because we're just reviewing to make sure, because we've done our review on the administrative plot plan, we are just making sure that what was submitted to building is consistent with what we approved. So again, it's just trying to take a step out. We can review it during the building permit process, and we'll spend our time there. But we're currently not charging for that because of the administrative plot plan process, and it's a very quick review for us.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. The staff report mentions that you would review through plan check or C of O. How do you kind of differentiate what cases are C of O, which are plan check? Because I'd hate to have someone build a garage and find out you don't meet setbacks, and then now we're stuck with either something that's non-conforming and they have to take it down.
And I apologize, so I should have clarified on the certificate of occupancy, we're looking at, currently the code says any change in occupancy, so sometimes you have a space that has been vacated by a business and you have another business wanting to come in. The process has been with the city is that you have to do an administrative plot plan to change ownership or to change the type of business. We've changed that process a few years ago in doing a certificate of occupancy so that we could not require everyone to do an administrative plot plan. So if it were a like-for-like use, for the change of ownership, we are now doing a commercial certificate of occupancy and not requiring the administrative plot plan. But for anything that would be like a change of use. So with a
So if someone's coming in with TIs, you'd be checking that during plan check, but
Yep.
they're just assuming a building as is.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. How often do you have cases where people have submitted building plans that don't meet the requirements that you have to go back and have it re-engineered? Does it happen frequently enough where it's going to be a problem now, or?
I wouldn't, I mean, it's come up, but I don't see it being.
It's not a prevalent behavior. It's
Right.
not prevalent. Okay.
I mean, I think what we see a lot is on the ADUs, the accessory dwelling units, and, there's not a lot that we can require up front, but not having like a title report and a grant deed is seeing where easements are or what the water pressure is. So typically, those things are kind of found out later down the line or, during plan check or maybe when they're getting their pressure test. Those are things that we see that, once someone has progressed that far and there's issues that are coming up. So we are trying to identify issues and do a kind of something to be aware of, when you're submitting these types of plans. These are things that could be problematic and, check on those.
Daylight it early. All right.
Yeah.
So planning staff, you guys are confident that this will be successful as proposed and overall beneficial for the community?
Yes, and I mean, the planners are doing plan checks regardless.
Right.
So, I mean, we basically get two bites at the apple, and so that, like I said, this is going to help streamline. This was, a direction from City Council is trying to make the process easier. So, like I said, in community development, we are working on several different avenues to help that process, but this is one of those, and it was a recommendation of our zoning code update consultant.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll move, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:29 PM. Do we have any requests to speak on this item?
I have no written requests. Mia, do we have any callers on the line?
No callers.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:29 PM. And I will ask for a motion.
I will move to approve as presented.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Cooley?
Yes.
Commissioner Copeland?
Yes.
Commissioner Cueva?
Yay.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Southard?
Yes. Okay, that item is approved unanimously, and we'll move on to item D, planning manager comments.
Okay, here we go. The first one for 2025. As a council update, we had a city council meeting on December 17th. Items of note for the planning commission is we did have the TUMF update on there. And in addition, we had staff presenting 2 items. So we had the auto for hire. That is the requirement that goes to council. It's not a planning commission action, but we did have Planner Jensen present that, and so that was approved. It was for an ambulance service, a private ambulance service. And then we did have an item, which was the relocation or replacement of the billboard sign at Highland Springs, right off the freeway. And that is written into the code when it's a billboard. It's required to go to city council, so that's one reason why the planning commission didn't see that, but they will be redoing the sign, relocating it, and the height will increase slightly. So that was passed. And then, of course, we had the PC appointment, so welcome Commissioner Copeland. Coming up for your next planning commission, which is going to be our second meeting in January, we'll have the development agreement annual reviews. And then we do have scheduled the second study session for the zoning code update for February 13th. Items of note for council coming up, we have, what do I have on the 17th? I am requesting a date to set up their study session number 2 for the zoning code update, so we're looking at March 13th. For February 4th, we're looking at doing updates to the plus policy to make it consistent with AB 98. We will be having a discussion on home occupation permits, so that was a request of previous Mayor Fenn, and looking at what our requirements are, what the requirements are in joining jurisdictions and other jurisdictions, and trying to identify concerns. We've had some issues that have been raised, and so we'll be taking that discussion forward and looking for direction from the City Council. We'll also be taking the Noble Creek consistency findings that went to you last year. We'll be taking that on the 4th, and we're hoping to we'll be closing escrow on that property on February 5th. So that's exciting. New police station property. Then we'll be taking the general plan annual review. In addition to the general plan chapter 12 implementation section. So you're probably familiar with that section, but it's basically a large table identifying measures we need to take to implement the general plan, and it identifies who's responsible for those. So we were working on completing where we're at on every step. So it's a collaboration between all city departments. In addition, it includes collaboration with our water district, our parks district, the school district. So it's a large undertaking, and it's a 20-year plan. So we'll have that, and then we will be taking the ordinance amendment that you approved, recommended approval tonight, to the City Council. I received a request from Commissioner, and so we have the Planning Commissioners Academy is put on by the California League of Cities. It is March 5th through 7th in Santa Rosa. I have only budgeted for 2 commissioners to go, so I kind of wanted to gauge interest and see who would be interested in going, and if we have more, I can take a look at our budget, but I just wanted to see what the interest was. Commissioner Copeland, yes.
I'm very interested.
Okay.
I think they have flights out of San Bernardino to Santa Rosa now, too.
They do?
Yeah.
Because I had to go from like Palm Springs to Seattle, and then Seattle to Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's much easier to just go that way now, right?
What airline?
Yes.
We'll talk offline.
I am interested, but I did attend the last one. I don't know if this will have more information or whatever. I am interested, but I'd rather see somebody who's not been go first. But if there's additional availability, I am interested.
Okay, I will take a look at that. Like I said, I did look at the budget. I did budget for 2 commissioners, but let me look and see where we're at on other areas, and I'll be in touch if we can.
Yep, and I did have an opportunity to attend last year, and it was very, very helpful. So I definitely recommend it, and we'll pass this year to allow other commissioners to attend.
Yes. I will be in attendance to help support and then also gain further education. And then Melody, our senior planner, will be going as well. So it'll be our first time at Planning Commissioners Academy. So we'll have Jillian and Katie will be holding down the fort. So. Just of note, we received, there are changes in the public hearing noticing requirement. So typically what we see with our exempt projects or other public hearing projects, it's a 10-day. That has increased to 20 days. So as much as we're trying to streamline and make the development process go quicker, we now have this, which is going to add additional time. But that's, you might see changes on when things are, how things are getting processed. So it's a slight delay. We did not have EDC today, so I have no update on that. And I did want to let the commission know that our building official has a standard accessory dwelling unit plans online for the city. So that is another way in helping our residents that want to do an accessory dwelling unit. That's just one less step that they have to go through. So we're excited about that. I also did want to let you know, if you're having any problems with your emails, please reach out to Nicole or myself or any staff member. It seems to have been a problem, so we definitely want to make sure you're getting your city emails. And then I know I have been asked about getting city gear, and so we that does go out. I believe every quarter, the commission does have an amount that they can spend. I know I sent something out, I think, before the end of the year, and I didn't receive any requests. So when that comes out, I'll kind of flag that again for the commission, and that's all I have this evening.
Perfect. Appreciate the updates. That moves us to item E, adjournment. So we will adjourn our meeting here at 6:38 p.m. Thank you, everybody.